identify polygons given their properties. Okay, that's kind of what we're doing, but we're kind of just talking about polygons in general and the properties of them. Okay, so a polygon, this is a shape with more than two sides, right? So we're talking like a three-sided figure, a triangle, a four-sided figure, which would be a parallelogram, a rectangle, a square, a trapezoid. Those are all polygons. And if there are n sides, okay, so we are using n to tell us n is the number of sides on the polygon. Okay, so a triangle, n would be 3. Square, n would be 4. That side sort of thing. So the sum of the interior angles, remember sum means if we add them all together. So the sum of the interior angles can be found by taking n minus 2 times 180, where n is the number of sides, right? So like in a triangle, n would be 3. So we would plug in 3, subtract 2, and then take that answer and multiply by 180. So that is one formula we're going to use today. And then the other thing we're going to use is, what if we have a regular polygon? Now, one thing to note, a polygon is regular if all sides are equal. Okay, so like a square is a regular polygon because all 4 sides are the same. Okay, so if we know that a polygon is regular, then we know that an interior angle, all interior angles, right, each one of them, can be found by taking S divided by N. And now you're thinking, well, I don't know what S is. Well, I'm going to tell you. S is the sum of all interior angles. So if we know the sum of all of the interior angles, we can divide by the number of sides, and that'll tell us the measurement of one interior angle, which should make sense, right? If there are 5 angles and they're equal, if I take the total, divide by 5, that tells me the value of 1. Okay, let's use those two things. So the sum of the interior angles of a regular polygon is 900. How many sides, 900 degrees, how many sides does this regular polygon have? Okay, so we have a polygon of some shape and size particularly, and the sum, right, so all of them. So we know that S is 900. We don't know what N is, that's the question. Okay, so we can think about the idea that the sum, n minus 2 times 180, right? That's basically what we're going to need because we know the sum of all of them is 900. So I know that 900 is the same as n minus 2 times 180. And we're going to kind of work backwards. Now, if this idea of solving an equation scares you, you can do a guess and check method. There's nothing wrong with that. Same basic idea. But here we're going to say, okay, you can either solve the equation in one way, or you can say, I can take this 180 and distribute, because this is 180 times the entire piece. So this is the same as 900 equals 180n minus 360. Right? So if we have a number touching a parentheses, that means that number is being multiplied by each piece inside. Now I can solve the equation, right? So I'm going to add 360 to both sides. So that gives me 1260 equals 180n. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 180. So n equals 7. That means we have a 7-sided polygon, which is a heptagon. So we've identified the polygon based on the fact that the sum of the interior angles is 900 degrees. Okay, let's look at something else here. Suppose every interior angle of a regular polygon is 144 degrees. How many sides does this polygon have? Okay, so every interior angle. Okay, so we know that an interior angle is the sum divided by the number of sides. That doesn't help me. That means 144 is the same as S over N. But if I multiply both sides by n, then the sum of all of them is 144 times n, which again should make sense. If n is the number of sides and each angle is 144, if I multiply that, or n is the number of angles, that should work, right? Okay, so let's think again. Back to our formula of the sum of the interior angles equals n minus 2 times 180. Okay, I now know that the sum is the same as 144n. So I can substitute that in. I can say 144n equals n minus 2 times 180. And now similarly to what we just did, we can distribute that 180. So 144n equals 180n minus 360. And now because I have variables on both sides, right, I have n's on both sides of the equal sign, I want to get them all on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 180n from both sides. 144 minus 180 gives me negative 36n. And I have negative 360 left on the right side. Hopefully you're seeing this come together quite nicely. I'm going to divide by a negative 36 because that'll give me n by itself. And negative 360 divided by negative 36 gives me 10. So we have a 10-sided figure, which I believe is a decagon. A 10-sided figure. So there you go.